That's crazy. I cannot believe my dream of having a baby girl and daughter, and she's upstairs. Like, wow. Like, I cannot believe that. Okay, y'all. Wow, I don't even know where to start. Long time no talk. I totally missed coming on here and talking to y'all. I just feel like YouTube is like where I get to actually open up, which is fun for me because this whole, like, well, how long has it been? 2 months. She's technically 10 weeks, if that makes sense. She was born on the 1st of the month, so every single time, 1st of the month, but sometimes there's less weeks or less days in the month, so it's getting confusing. But she is technically 10 weeks this Friday, but she just turned 2 months on June 1st. Y'all, it has been a crazy 2 months. If you follow me on Instagram, you know a little bit about what's going on. We got traded to Vegas, so excited to be part of the Raiders. As you know, we just had a newborn. We are building a house in Texas. There is so much going on in our life, just a lot of life changes, which is amazing and fun, but overwhelming to say the least. So I guess to start out this vlog, to let you guys know, this is a 4th trimester, and I actually got some DMs. They're like, why does everyone call it a 4th trimester if a trimester means 3? Well, because here's a very important part of pregnancy that nobody really talks about is the postpartum journey. And that is something that is super important for me to touch on, especially these past 2 months, what I've been going through. And it's nothing to scare anybody. It's just a reality check that, like, nobody talks about it. Nobody wants to disclose what goes on in postpartum, but you know, I'm here for it and I'm going to talk about it. I'm going to give you as many details as I can. However, it is nap time and your girl is chilling. Look at her. Sleeping. It's upside down because I'm trying to work on her head shape, which is funny. But anyway, so to start off this, I did a little Q&A on Instagram, and I'm going to answer all the questions about birth story, recovery, her name, like in depth, because obviously the last vlog y'all watched was the birth vlog, so you don't really know much about her if you only follow me on YouTube. But if you follow me on Instagram, you're getting all the updates as I go. So I guess if you guys want more in-time real updates, follow me on Instagram. Yeah, so excited to get into this and to just chat with you guys and catch up. I'm sitting on the floor because I feel like I get to have this intimate setting with y'all, and we get to talk girl things. And guys, if you're here too and you guys are just wanting to hear me talk about football, I guess skip on. This is more about birth. Let's get into this Q&A. Okay, so I have my screenshots of the Q&A I did on Instagram. I asked you guys in the question box, you asked, and I'm going to answer. But first, I need to preface all of this with everything I say is completely 100% my opinion and my personal experience and my personal advice, if you want to call it. I don't know. Just know that. And if you don't like my answer, that's totally fine. That's all you. But if you do like my answer, don't like religiously think that I'm know-it-all. Like, just, I don't know anything. I am just speaking from my personal experience and what has worked for us, what has worked for Lennon, what has worked for me, what has worked for Jarrett, and everything. So I just need to say that off the bat so that you know. I know y'all know, but like, it just needs to be said that anything I say is completely 100% just my opinion, my experience, and my preferences. Okay, so I can answer most, if not all, of these questions with my labor story. So you watched the birth vlog, then you kind of know like the story. I did post a little thing on Instagram as well. This is gonna like jog my memory. I'm getting emotional thinking about it, but I had called she was coming early the entire time. If you watch any of the vlogs, I literally knew. I was like, she's coming early. I definitely think she's coming early. Like, I just know it in my gut. Like, I knew it the whole entire time. My mom had us all 2 weeks early. That obviously is not a tell-all factor, but like, I was just convinced that she was coming early, and I was like, I need to be prepared. I need to be prepared, whatever. So if you remember, like, the vlog before I went into labor was the what's in my hospital bag. Me and Jarrett literally say it's happening this weekend. Like, we just knew it. It was in our gut. I don't know. It's just such a God thing. So, okay. So I go into my 38-week appointment. It is March 31st. I was going to the Bruins game that night. That's just how I'm going to start it. So I go in, and at my 37-week appointment, I was told that I was 2 centimeters dilated and 85% effaced. So we're like there. Like, I knew she was like, by that time, I'm like, wow, okay. They were like, watch out for, you know, contractions, watch out for anything that make you think you're in labor. I had contractions, but like, they were never consistent, like ever. I don't know why. They just weren't. So I was like, oh, this is so hard to tell because like my pain tolerance, like the contractions weren't really affecting me. So I go into my 38-week appointment. I'm like, okay, can you tell me if this is a contraction? Like, I was making her feel, she goes, oh yeah, that's a contraction. And I go, I always thought these were Braxton Hicks. So little did I know, I was contracting for like a whole week, but like not consistent. So you don't go to the hospital unless it's consistent. I get there and she's like, we're not gonna check you unless you think that you need to be checked. And I was like, well, the morning of my 38-week appointment, I started having like a bloody show. So what they say is that's like a really, like that's an early sign of labor. And it's just like a little bit of spotting. And keep in mind, if you have, you know, been on YouTube with me, you know I've had spotting within my pregnancy. So I was like, this could just be another spotting thing. Like, I have no idea. I get there, I had a bloody show, and I told them that, and they're like, oh, well, then no questions asked. We are checking you. We need to check you. He gets ready to check me, and immediately, right whenever she's, you know, doing her thing, she goes, holy wow, her head is so low. And I was like, oh my God. This is funny because my mom told me that the day of her 38-week checkup appointment, they were like, are you ready to have this baby today? Like, she's coming. And that was me. Literally, that is the exact same scenario that happened to me. So she goes in, she's like, whoa, her head is so low. And I was like, oh my gosh. She goes, and you're a good almost 3.5 centimeters dilated. Like, we have people come in for labor that are not as dilated as this. And I was like, all right, so this baby's coming like today or tomorrow. Like, I was already set in my head. I'm like, oh my God. The weirdest thing I kept telling Jarrett that day was like, I cannot see past tonight. Like, it was weird. It was this feeling like I couldn't see the future in a sense. Like, I couldn't picture myself going home, laying my head like in bed that night. Like, I just had a feeling we were gonna be in the hospital. Like, I don't know. You're 100% effaced. You're almost 3.5 centimeters dilated, and this baby's coming within 24 to 48 hours is my guess. And I was like, holy cow. And then me and Jarrett, our first question were like, we're going to the Bruins game tonight. Can we still go? And she started cracking up laughing, and she was like, you know, if you feel like you can go, you go. And I was like, I feel like I can go. I feel fine. If anything, it's closer to the hospital. Like, that was our mindset, was like, it's closer to the hospital. We'll be fine. Also, like, my dad, he works for the Devils, and the Bruins were playing the Devils that night. And it was just a perfect, like, my dad's in town. If I need to know anybody, I can get out with security. We are good. Like, we know the area. So it was like a safe place to labor if I had to. And also, I was with my best friend Parker. She's a labor delivery nurse. She had me on lock. She was checking me. We were great. Not checking, just like, I was like, is this my water? I'll get there. We leave my 38-week appointment. I had a bloody show. I was 3.5 centimeters dilated, and I was 100% effaced, and her head was very low. She told me that if my water broke, it was gonna be like a trickle, because her head was so low, it was gonna act as a cork, so like not much was gonna come out, which is kind of funny looking back at it. Like, that kind of makes the whole birth story for me, was the fact that I had no idea if I was in labor or not, strictly because it just wasn't a sure sign of water. But so the whole rest of the day, I'm kind of having contractions. I'm not like, nothing crazy, just going through the day, getting ready. I'm like, oh God, like, I just have this feeling. It's coming tonight. I'm gonna go into labor at the game. Like, something's gonna happen. So we get to the game. Immediately when we get there, I sit down and I feel this like, just like warmth. That's the only way I can explain it. I just feel warm, and I'm like, oh my God, I think my water just broke. At this point, again, no consistent contractions, still just every 10, 15, maybe a few close, a few apart, but I'm having contractions. I'm just not having them close. So I immediately look at Parker. I'm like, oh my God, come to the bathroom with me right now. And my dad is like, did your water just break? And I was like, I don't know. Like, I don't know. And so me and Parker go to the bathroom, and usually there's a distinction between like bloody show, discharge, and water. We could not tell for the life of us. And again, my contractions were not close enough to even tell. We kind of just go out the rest of the night. I'm monitoring my contractions. I'm timing them. I'm being open about, okay, wow, this one's getting a little strong. Like, we're still chilling though. The game is great. There was like 3 fights. It was so cool. Like, it was awesome. Finally, like, get to the end of the game, and I feel another warm gush, and I'm like, I need a call. Like, I think I need a call. Parker was like, okay, here's the thing. If this is a trickle, that is the definition of an actual trickle. I am like shocked by it, because that's exactly what they said it would be, because her head is a cork. It's corking my water. So I'm just like slowly, I think, leaking water at this point, I think. So Parker's like, I would call. We're about to leave the game anyway. Newton Wellesley's right there. I can say the hospital since obviously we're moving. I'm not going to be using that hospital anymore, but Newton Wellesley was amazing. Let me just tell you all that. Yeah, so we're right there. It's a perfect storm. So I call the hospital. I'm like, hi, like, I think my water broke at like 6, but I've been monitoring my contractions. They're still not super close, but I'm pretty like 95% sure this is my water. And I was like, my underwear has been consistently soaked for the past 4 hours. I've been laboring. So that was kind of like the telltale sign. And I was like, I just had my 38-week appointment today. They told me I was 3.5 centimeters dilated. I'm 100% effaced. So this is my water. I have no idea how fast this little girl will come. This is my first baby. And they were like, yep, come on in. We'll evaluate you. But since you're already really dilated, like you're going to be fine. Like I think we'll probably get you checked in. And I was like, great, we're going. So eat a couple nachos. Again, keep in mind, I had been kind of laboring like all day. Not really, but like really. And I hadn't been hungry. So my last meal was like, this comes into play later, but my last meal was like at noon after our appointment because we got Chick-fil-A to celebrate that I was 3 centimeters dilated. This baby was coming. Yeah, they told me to come in. We dropped Parker and Hunter off and they're amazing. They were absolutely so helpful. They went to go grab Bro for us. We gave Bro to this local dog boarder that we use and she's amazing. We luckily had the car packed and the car seat in the car already. Like again, we knew this baby girl was coming early. It'd be dumb to go to the Bruins game without our stuff. So we had everything packed. And I literally just packed the hospital bag the day before in the vlog. So we dropped Parker and Hunter off and we're on our way to the hospital. And that is whenever I started vlogging. I was so excited. We're getting there. We get checked in and they have to do like a little test to make sure it's your water, not just discharge or whatever. So 100% was my water. So we check into the hospital around midnight. So at this point, it is April 1st. We're chilling. We're getting checked into our room. Also, keep in mind, whenever you get an epidural, you're not allowed to eat. So again, my last meal was at noon. I had crackers and tried to have some peanut butter, but again, I was laboring at this point. I was not hungry. And they were like, you need to have something before the epidural because you're not gonna be able to eat until you're done with the epidural. And I was like, gosh, I have no idea how long that's gonna be. I checked into our room. It's like 2 o'clock. Again, if you want to know all the timestamps, go back and look at the birth vlog. I have all the timestamps in that. So I get my epidural. We are living life. I labored for a little bit just to kind of see what it felt like, but it was to the point where I was like, I don't know, like if this hurts or not. Like, I don't know, like if this is my, cause she was like, these contractions are very, very strong. Like, are you sure you want to keep going? And I'm like, I don't know. And she goes, okay, well, if you're questioning it, then just do it. And I'm like, give me that epidural. We love that. It was amazing, life-changing. Again, if you're a person that does not want an epidural, power to you. Me, epidural, love life. It was great. It made my birth experience so amazing. I'm not even kidding. Like, I felt nothing. That was another question, and so I'm answering. I felt nothing. It was awesome. So from what I can remember, I go from a 6, like it took me a little bit to get to a 6, but as soon as I got to a 6, I went from 6 to a 10 in like 2 hours. It was like super fast going. So this little girl came into our lives at 11:08. Oh gosh, I can't remember. Jared's gonna kill me. It was in the birth vlog. Go look back at it. Mom brain is real and I can claim that. So she came into the world at that time. She was 7 pounds 7 ounces and her name is Lennon Stem. And that was a question I will dive into, why we named her that, where it came from, why I've been dreaming of it for so long. I just love it. It's so fitting for her. Yeah. Anyways, this is birth story, so we'll keep going. Everything was absolutely amazing and perfect up until right after. I have not told anybody this besides family and friends, and I don't want to scare anybody. Like, obviously look at me, I am perfectly fine and I'm perfectly healthy and everything went great. I'm like ready to have another baby, like just to do that part again, like I would. However, this ending part. So in recovery, you bleed a lot, like a lot. People don't talk about it. It's kind of scary when you're going through it, but ultimately you're fine. You lose a lot of blood, but it's okay. I had minimal to 0 blood, which was really shocking to the doctors, to everyone. They were like, you are like not bleeding at all. Like, this is crazy. And I was like, really? She's like, yeah, like this is probably the least amount of blood that anybody's ever bled during labor. And I was like, wow, famous last words, let me tell you. We're sitting there for about an hour and a half waiting to get moved to our room for recovery. That's where you kind of spend the rest of, you know, the few days. You get to love on the baby, breastfeed, do all the stuff, recover. Again, had not lost a lot of blood at all. Well, so I guess I was sitting there for a little bit too long, or they weren't pushing on my stomach enough or something. I started like clotting a little bit, and all of a sudden I'm just sitting there and she presses on my stomach. We are literally checked into our room. I'm about to get like transferred upstairs. All of a sudden, I don't want to be too graphic, but I have to, like, blood shoots everywhere. I'm not even kidding when I say I saw it across the room, waterfall down across the room. It was probably the most scariest thing in my life. I asked the nurses a million times, am I gonna die? Like, I was freaking out, and rightfully so. I was being a little dramatic looking back, but like, not really, you know? Like, all I saw was blood everywhere, and this is my first baby. I had no idea. Here's where the not eating comes into. So they were giving me meds so that I wouldn't hemorrhage, and I was getting so sick from them, like throwing up everywhere, spewing blood everywhere. Like, I could not keep the meds down that were supposed to help me not hemorrhage, and in the middle of this I was almost hemorrhaging. So it was just a perfect storm of horror story. I was starving, and the meds you couldn't take you weren't allowed to take on an empty stomach, and I obviously could not eat because I was on the epidural. It was just a perfect storm of things happening right now. Ultimately, they got the bleeding under control after, I think it was 5 hours. I wasn't bleeding for 5 hours. It was 5 hours later that it was finally all resolved. The meds started working. They gave me like 3 different medications that were like supposed to help a little bit, but that just kept making me sick. At this time, they were still trying to keep me from hemorrhaging, which is, you know, scary. But that part of birth I was not prepared for at all. And especially because I was just so scared that like something was gonna happen to me right whenever my baby was born. Also, at this point, I was crying of happiness and sadness. Like, I hadn't even gotten to hold her much yet. Like, hadn't even got to breastfeed her yet. Like, you're supposed to kind of just get that connection immediately, skin to skin. I did it immediately when she came out, but like I never got to like do more than that. So I was like crying because of that, crying because I was bleeding everywhere. It was just scary. And like Jarrett was in there with me, and he was crying because he had never like seen me like that, I guess. And it was just like crazy. And even the nurses, like, they were so amazing at keeping me calm, but they were also kind of freaking out a little bit. Like, I was bleeding nothing, and then all of a sudden all this blood came out, you know what I mean? So they were shocked. They had no idea what was going on. I wasn't hemorrhaging, but I was close to hemorrhaging, so they were trying to prevent it. Moral of the story, I'm fine, baby's fine, Jarrett's fine, everything's fine. But that was just a part that I was not prepared for. And I like asked all the necessary questions. I was like, is this gonna happen to me every single time I give birth? Like, I need to know. And they were like, no, this is just like a crazy freak accident. It has stuff to do with you not eating before. And if I had to go back, I would eat 4 cheeseburgers before I even went into the hospital, like while I was in labor. I should have forced myself to. I wasn't hungry. I couldn't explain it. So I think that was mostly the root of the issue, but I just feel like I need to be transparent about that because, again, birth and delivery, amazing. Recovery, postpartum, that has been my struggle. That was just the scariest part, and especially on top of that, like, I just wanted to get into my room, hold my baby, you know. So 5 hours goes by, Kennedy is fine, Lennon is great, Jarrett is awesome. The nurses are apologizing to me over and over, and I'm like, it's totally fine. They're like, Kennedy, we are so sorry. We did not want to freak you out. Like, you were a rock star in labor, you're a rock star in this and this and that. That was just something that we had to get control of. And throughout the rest of our stay at the hospital, they all came up and like said hi to us and kept apologizing. I'm like, I'm totally fine, like I had forgotten about it. And if it makes you feel any better, I have literally not thought about that moment since it happened. So again, if you're scared or anything, I just want to tell you that there's a lot of blood. Don't be scared. The nurses and doctors will take care of you. That's all I have to say. Almost hemorrhaging was really scary, and that really kind of took a toll on us in the hospital the rest of the time we were there. But once we were over it, it was done. And I thank the Lord that it happened when it did, because if I was all the way in recovery, none of the postpartum nurses would have known what to do. So thank the good Lord for making that happen in the situation that I was in, and that I hadn't left the room yet, and that I had experienced nurses and doctors all around me. Finally, we get into our room. My mom and dad come. That was really nice. And my mom came up immediately because luckily they all live 3.5, 4 hours away. So they were a car ride away, and I was easy text message and they came. So yeah, we get to live in our newborn bubble in the hospital. And I also am like laughing thinking back at this. So I had a brand deal that I had to post, and I put, it was like on April 2nd and she was obviously born April 1st. So I still posted the brand deal, and people at this point were speculating if I was in labor or not because I had not posted for a while. It was so funny to me to post this because then it gave me a little bit of like more of a newborn bubble. Like nobody really knew if I was in labor or not. Nobody really asked questions. My DMs weren't blowing up yet. It was so nice to just, they still think I have a bump for now. But it was kind of funny looking back at it. I mean, hey, work is work. You gotta just do work, you know? And I'd rather had posted it before I had birth announced, because going back and posting a pregnancy picture after announcing my birth would have been kind of weird. You know what I mean? Like acting like it was still present. I don't know. So yeah, that was funny. But at this point, we're living in our newborn bubble, and to round out the birth story, Lennon had a little bit of jaundice and her levels had shot up overnight, which was a little scary. And so we were supposed to go home. We were discharged. In the birth vlog, whenever I say we're about to pack up, we're about to go, we really were. Like, we were leaving. However, they come in and they're like, Lennon's numbers for jaundice shot up overnight. We're concerned that if you go home now, they'll shoot up again overnight and you'll just be back here tomorrow. And so me and Jarrett were like, oh my God, it's like, you just get this new Christmas present and all you want to do is go home from grandma and grandpa's house and open it and play with it and, you know, do things, like have fun and be at home. And so it was just another wave that hit us, you know, after that, like especially after, you know, my recovery and everything, getting into the room, and I just wanted to go home. You know, you just want to go home. And then they told us about the jaundice thing and that we might have to stay overnight. So we made a decision. We had talked to our pediatrician. She was like, I recommend staying because if her numbers shoot up overnight, you're just going to be back and you're already there. You might as well just knock it out. So for those who don't know, with jaundice babies, if their levels are high enough, you have to do the heat lamp. Like you put them underneath the heat lamp and basically they're there all night naked in a diaper only, and it was heartbreaking. But so we did that. It was probably the hardest night of our life because again, had not been sleeping like much at all. Then we are about to go home, we're about to have help from my family, all of that. So having to do the jaundice stuff was really hard because we just had to spend an extra night in the hospital. There was no bed in the room. We had to go to the pediatric floor because I had been discharged from the postpartum floor. So go to the pediatric floor. There's no beds. There's only a little like pull-out couch thing. That's not even a bed. It was so hard. But Jared stayed up all night and watched Lennon and like soothed her. She was literally screaming all night long. I literally at one point asked, I was like, are her vocal cords going to be damaged from like crying this much? And they were like, no, like babies do this all the time, and it's just like in the heat lamp, like they just don't like it. They just don't. And it's understandable. They're in a diaper and they're naked and their first day out, like, it was just heartbreaking. So Jarrett was unbelievable because he had slept mostly the past couple nights. I had woken up every 3 hours to breastfeed, so I wasn't really sleeping much. Walking around sore, like you feel like a bus just hit you down there. Like it's crazy. Do the heat lamp. She comes up the next morning. It was like 5 a.m. actually. We started it like at 5 the day before and she was good to go at 5 a.m. the next day. They told us that she did great. Her numbers were so down and that she was good to go. She was good to go home. So that was whenever you saw us leaving the hospital, was that part. I decided not to put it in the vlog because I didn't really want to disclose all that at the time, just because we were dealing with it. It was personal. She still had jaundice at home, so I just wanted to make sure everything was okay before talking about it. So yeah, and I don't really want to remember that moment. Like I'll remember it through, you know, lessons learned, but I don't want to remember that moment in the vlog. So it was just something for us to keep to our family. But for those who, you know, need to know what happens whenever you have a jaundice baby, that's what happens. She is fine now, and I guess that kind of wraps up the birth story. We got to go home. She met Bro. You guys saw all of that. And yeah, so that's kind of like my labor and delivery and birth story. Now we can actually get into the other questions, but I feel like I answered a lot through that. Thank you so much for being so like understanding, and this is a hard transition and finding time. Like I'm literally 2 months in and I'm just now finding out when I'm gonna have the time in the day, because the first couple weeks, I mean, I'm sure someone asked this, but it's just the first couple weeks are just a grind, and then as soon as they get to a month, they're like an actual baby, and then you get to kind of figure out where you're gonna have free time. Anyways, let's get into the Q&A. The first question I'm gonna answer, a lot of these I answered again with the labor story. So okay, so what was the hardest adjustment postpartum? I would say the hardest adjustment, dealing with recovery while also taking care of a newborn. That was like the biggest adjustment, was like, hold on, I just birthed a human, and now I have to care for said human while I'm recovering down there. It was just craziness. Like for the first 2 weeks, you're just keeping your head above water. Like seriously, you're feeding on demand, every 2 to 3 hours usually. Luckily, she is such a good feeder. Like I'm so blessed by that, blessed by her schedule and everything she's been doing. She's like the perfect baby. Like I'm biased because she's my child, but she's literally the perfect baby in all the sense of the word. So our circumstances are a little bit different, but like Jarrett left, so I've been doing this alone for about 2 weeks, 3 weeks now. Actually, whoa, I've been doing this alone for a month. Oh my God, he left May 18th and it's June, almost June 10th. Definitely on the top of the list, the hardest adjustment is just figuring it out that like a whole new life with a new baby is, I don't know. Yeah. Okay, so the next question is postpartum essentials for mama. And y'all, I'm gonna put it all below, but you're basically like living in like these mesh underwear for, I didn't stop bleeding till 6 weeks. So, and when I say bleeding, I mean like a period blood, but like sometimes it gets a little bit lighter. It's literally just like how your period is for 6 weeks. We were home for the first 2 weeks, like did not move from the house, did not leave my button up. I literally wore my button up hospital gown for 2 weeks. And then I just wore diapers. Like it was solid diapers. They're like these always overnight ones. I'll put them below for y'all. But for postpartum essentials, basically all you need is something you can easily breastfeed in. I don't even wear nursing bra because like, just whip it out. It's fine. Nursing bras to me are kind of like pointless, but that's personal opinion. I literally lived in these mesh underwear that either Frida mom or the hospital, I literally use the hospital stuff as long as possible so that I didn't have to like go into my stash, and I lived off that for like a week and a half. And then after that I started getting into like the Frida mom, and then I would just have Jarrett go to CVS and get me like just like little pads to wear in my actual underwear if I ever had to go somewhere, because you can't wear those diapers out, like you just, unless you're wearing like a loose dress. But at this time it was still kind of like sweater weather, so I could like wear leggings and all that, but like I would have to wear a pad or something. You get into like the panty liner stage where you don't have to, you know, wear those huge pads, but I would still wear the diapers overnight just because they were so comfortable. But yeah, so postpartum essentials, you're gonna need anything Frida mom. It's amazing. Their mesh underwear is great, all that. Take as much stuff from the hospital that you can. Ice packs, witch hazel, postpartum essentials for sure. But my favorite thing was my little button-up onesie nightgown that I wore. It was so easy to breastfeed in, and I just wore it for 2 weeks straight. So I'll put that below as well. Best advice I can give to somebody who's about to have their first. What are your must-haves? So all newborn essentials, something that shocked me was how much I was underprepared for the newborn stage. I have everything covered from like 4 weeks and up, but from 0 to 4 weeks, I was clueless. Like I had to ask my friends Jen and Mackenzie for like, and Parker, I had to ask them for all of their like newborn stuff because I didn't buy any newborn stuff. So if you're watching this and you think, oh, my baby's gonna be big, she was 7 pounds, 7 ounces. That's a typical baby size, kind of. Like it's a little on the bigger side / average. Even when they're 8 pounds, they still fit in newborn stuff. Get the newborn stuff, get the newborn diapers, get the newborn outfits, all that stuff. Because I basically had to order stuff for her, and she was just in her like 0 to 1 for like the first week, I would say. And that's kind of like dangerous because you never know. I had to Amazon Prime some like stuff besides borrowing from Jen, Mackenzie, and Parker. Which they are amazing for that, but just buy the newborn stuff, the newborn onesies, the newborn diapers, all of that. You're gonna need it. But however, you don't really need clothes because you don't leave the house. I mean, personally, you don't leave the house for like a month. Honestly, like the baby doesn't need cute clothes in the newborn stage. I would save your clothes for like 0 to 3 months. You know what I mean? Unless you like have a Christmas baby and you order something for Christmas and they're a newborn still. That's the only time that I think it's worth buying newborn clothes. But get the plain Jane white Gerber onesies, long sleeve, short sleeve, bodysuits, all of that. Get those. You'll be good for the first month. So that's my advice for newborn essentials. Yeah, but other than must-haves, I've done this on my Instagram. I'll put a little thing below as well. Baby Bijourn, we love Kyte baby onesies. We love coterie diapers. They're unbelievable. Tubby Todd for bath and all over ointment. She didn't really get baby acne, which is something that babies get. She did not get really much any baby acne. She got it maybe for like a week, but it's like, it wasn't even bad. Like, I've seen babies have bad baby acne and she did not have any, because I think it's because I've been using that Tubby Todd all over ointment everywhere. It's done wonders for her. So I think that that was our little like life hack for that. Someone asked me, okay, they said, did you tear in birth, in what degree? So I didn't tear, but when I say that, they still stitched me up because, so normally people tear down. Your girl went up towards your pee hole. So they were like, I mean, this might be TMI, but they were like, you are so strong and so tight down there that it went up. It had to go one way and it went up. Tore up, but I didn't really, they told me it was such a superficial tear that they're only doing it for my comfort. Like, they're stitching me up for my comfort. I honestly think that that was most of my recovery sucked postpartum, because when you tear down, I don't know, maybe it's more comfortable, but tearing up, I was just so uncomfortable. Like, I feel like I couldn't sit upright for like at least a month. Like, it was so weird. Like, I don't know, but they did tell me that usually when you tear up you have a little bit more discomfort, but she told me it was like patching a scratch on your elbow. That's how superficial it was, and they only stitched me up so that I felt comfortable. I was always asking questions to like my friends. I'm like, are my stitches gonna fall out? Like, where are they gonna fall out? And then I went to my 6-week appointment and they're like, they're all gone, you're good, everything's recovered. And I'm like, really? Like, sometimes you just don't feel normal down there until you're told it's normal, and then you're like, oh, I guess I've been feeling normal for a while. But I will say it does take, like, that was the weirdest pain, was like pain in your most intimate spot was just hard. But like, looking back at it, I'm like, yeah, that was honestly probably the worst pain I've ever had in my life. And I literally broken bones, tore stuff, tore my quad in soccer. Like, that was probably the worst pain. But stick with your pain meds and you're fine. And look at me, I got through it. So I don't want to scare you, but like, be prepared. It hurts. Like, it really does. It does. Recovery down there is not for the faint of heart. This was probably the most asked question I got, was how do I feel about my body post-birth? Y'all, I can't explain how much I do not give a flying crap about it. I just really can't, because my honest to God advice to anybody who is so worried about that is, don't have a baby. You're not ready. You're just not ready, because I just can't explain it. Like, you just don't care. Like, now at the point that I'm at, I'm working out again, like, cool, like, I feel great. Like, I don't know, I've never been somebody who holds my self-worth and my body image. I just have not. I just think genuinely, if you're so fixated on that, then you're not ready to have a kid. Like, you're just not ready, because you have to just embrace it. Like, you have to embrace your body changing. Heck, I have boobs right now and I hate boobs. My breastfeeding boobs are huge. We're not even gonna get into that. I am used to rib cage and I don't like boobs. You guys, if you've watched the past couple vlogs, personally, I just don't function well with boobs. So that's like if you're so fixated on how your body's gonna look or how it's gonna feel afterwards, you're just not ready to have a baby, in my opinion. Like, you're not. Because once you just do it, you just embrace your body changing, and then afterwards you worry about it. It doesn't matter. You know what I mean? So I guess in a roundabout way, what I'm trying to say is I've never been someone who cares or fixates about my body. I just kind of embrace it and just let it happen. But now that I'm getting back into a routine, I'm so excited to like get that little like, you know, fitness back and feel good working out again. And like, yes, I have a little bit of rolls. Yes, I have a little bit of jiggle, and I am fine with it. That's just my opinion. I'm fine with it. But if I were to give advice for somebody who's dealing with that and super like concerned about it, without saying you're not ready to have a kid yet, I would just say that staying active throughout my pregnancy, I think, helped a lot. I think what also helps is that my main cravings were fruit. So if I was craving hamburgers and stuff, maybe I'd have a different opinion, but like, I was craving fruit, so like, I don't know, maybe that helped. But just like my mindset going into it is like, your body's gonna change, you're gonna have a bump, you're gonna gain weight, and if you care about it, then like, I don't think you're ready yet. That's just my personal opinion. If you don't care about it, girl, live that pregnancy life, enjoy the weight gain. It's fun. The bump is fun. I miss it. I miss it so much. Like I can't wait to get pregnant again. Like, I could say I'm ready, but I'm so excited just to spend time with me, Lennon, and Jarrett for a while. And then another question was, how much weight did you gain during pregnancy? I honestly did not want to tell anybody because it doesn't matter. Like, you're gaining weight, you're gonna gain weight, but I think it kind of helps people like mentally feel like, oh, that's fine, she gained this much, it makes me feel better. Like, I don't know. So if this helps you, I'm glad. But I gained 30 pounds. If you want to be technical, I technically gained 28 pounds. But she was obviously 7'7" of that. You have a lot of water, and then you just gain like boobs and fat. Like, it just happens. It happens. And I'm fine with it. 30 pounds was great, but let me tell you, as soon as you give birth, 20 is gone like that. Like, immediately. Like, her is half of it. And then a bunch of water and everything you were just retaining, you just lose it. Like, I lost 20 pounds in the first 2 days, I'm pretty sure. And so now I'm like 10 pounds away from my goal weight, but I'm already back within, like, I'm already back to pre-birth weight, but I'm obviously not like looking the same. You know what I mean? Like, it's fine. Like, I just feel like it's fine to me. Like, I'm not in a rush to get back to like this, what I was before. I'm just enjoying it. And I'm not like, I went 9 months carrying around a weight. I'm excited to eat what I want again. I'm excited to like enjoy working out again, because I stopped working out around 25 weeks or 28 weeks, something like that. I can't remember, because of my pelvis pain. Just loving getting to move my body and like not feel that weight anymore. Like, it's so nice. But I guess I hope that answers your question. To me personally, like, you just can't worry about it. You just can't. And if you do, I would hold off a little bit, because then you're not ready. You're just not. You just gotta embrace it. You really do. But I'm just excited to keep working out and getting back to whatever my body wants to be back at. Did you use a belly butter or lotion to help prevent stretch marks? Okay, so I told you guys I would update y'all if I ever got stretch marks. I never got stretch marks, ever. I really think that's genetic. 100% believe it now, because I feel like I got pretty round at the end, and I was like, oh, I'm definitely gonna get stretch marks at some point, and I never did. But I did use bio oil, so I don't know if that helps. I just personally believe stretch marks are straight up genetic. Did Jarrett get you a push present? Yes, he did, and I'm wearing it. He got me a little diamond tennis bracelet because her birthstone is April, so it's a diamond. Good for her. She's happy in life, I'm sure. She will be. But yeah, so her birthstone is a diamond, and so Jarrett got me a little tennis bracelet so I can always have her with me. Next question is, are you breastfeeding? If so, how's that been? Okay, so first off, I just want to say this is my personal experience. I've said this all throughout this Q&A, but I just need to stress this because breastfeeding is sometimes so difficult for some people and then so easy for some people. And then some people do it, some people don't, some people choose not to, some people choose to. It is completely up to you and your choice, and I would never judge you otherwise, so I hope you don't judge me. I am exclusively breastfeeding, so full-time, literal full-time job, it feels like. I think the hardest part was also, that kind of goes back to the other question, was what is the hardest part about postpartum, is getting used to breastfeeding. If you are, such a task and such a full-time job, but honestly, like, me and Lennon, we have a thing going and we're doing great. Like, breastfeeding has been effortless for me almost, and I honestly had an inkling that it would be, just because of how much colostrum I was producing during pregnancy. But I have friends who could not breastfeed at all, and that is literally fine. Totally up to them. So yeah, me and Lennon are doing great with breastfeeding. She feeds every 3 hours, but again, at the beginning, you're gonna be feeding a lot. She feeds every 3 hours then. But yeah, so my milk supply, from what I've been told, is an anomaly almost. Like, I'm an anomaly in that department because I just produce a lot, but I don't get engorged. I don't get like supply issues, knock on wood, because that scares me right now with the formula shortage, because ultimately I'm not going to be breastfeeding for a while. My goal is 4 to 6 months, and I'm going to go from there, because there is a sense in me that like knows what I need for me and myself, like body wise. Like, I just kind of need my, you know, sense of myself a little bit, and breastfeeding is so tasking but so rewarding, and I freaking love it right now. So I really do love it, and it's really, yeah, I love it. I just do. So breastfeeding has been great. She feeds great. She latched on immediately. We had relatively no issues. If anything, the very first days your nipples get a little sore, but I didn't really experience that too much. I just know friends were asking me for advice, so I just have to preface that. You do get a little sore at the beginning. I got the Earth Mama's nipple butter and I was good to go. Another question was like, what do I do, pump versus breastfeeding? So here's a little, this is again personal preference, a little course. I'm not an expert, I'm just speaking from my experience. So I think she's sleeping so well because I produce so much and she gets very full during the day. The schedule I follow is Moms on Call, so if you literally just want somewhere to start, just read that book. It gives you everything you really need to know. Moms on Call, Taking Care of Babies, and Carry Locker have been my 3 go-tos for everything. I'll tag them below. But we follow the Moms on Call schedule, and I feel like the reason why she is sleeping so well is because my milk supply is just very good, and that she gets full during the day and she does not need to wake to feed in the middle of the night. So my girl has been sleeping through the night since 5 weeks old, which is like unheard of. She is just in her own little world and I am not going to complain, but I do have this feeling, I'm like, she's being so easy on me because I'm going to have a worse time with my other 2 kids or 3 kids or 4 kids, whatever. I keep having that joke, like that ongoing joke. I'm like, she's so perfect that there has to be something like next baby's not going to sleep at all or something, like just something funny like that. But yeah, so for pumping wise, I haven't had to pump at all because I just breastfeed her all the time. But my stash, my life hack is just using your Haaka. So oh, that's also on the newborn essentials is a Haaka because you're going to need that in the first weeks of life. Basically, it just catches your milk from the opposite side that you're not feeding on. And I literally built a freezer stash of over 100 bags in the first 2 weeks. Like it just flew out of me, which was great. I did not pump until at least a month because that's whenever she started sleeping like through the night, was 4 to 5 weeks, right around there. So I would pump before bed, or I still pump before bed, and then she slept back then like 6 to 7 hours, and then she gradually moved to 7 to 8 hours, and so I would have to pump a little bit twice at night, like just to kind of get me through the night. But honestly now, like I was honestly just pumping at the beginning to like until 6 weeks so that I would still have an established supply. But now that my supply is normal, like it's regulated and everything, I only pump before bed, and then I sleep the whole night. I sleep 10 hours, she sleeps 10, 11 hours, 9, 10, 11 hours, and I just wake up and feed her whenever she wakes up. So pumping wise, I don't think I'm the right person to come to for that. I suggest looking up on Taking Care of Babies or Carry Locker. But ultimately I'm going to start pumping more, probably like after feeds during the day, so I can start building that freezer stash, because someone once told me freezer stash equals freedom. Like that is literally your freedom. And I luckily have a ton saved up right now that I think is more than enough for now. So I'm gonna probably pump towards the end of whenever I start thinking that I'm gonna stop. So yeah. Okay, so someone asked me, when did you start your schedule / routine with feeding and naps? So we didn't start a schedule until about 3 to 4 weeks old, because again, the first 2 weeks are feeding on demand, getting them back to birth weight, and they sleep the entire time. They just sleep. You don't even need a schedule. You just feed every 3 hours, and that's all you need to know. But once they kind of get a little, well, you feed whenever they need it, not every 3 hours, but she only needed every 3 hours. So, but whenever they get to be older and actual babies, like around 3 to 4 weeks old, she was starting to sleep 6 or 7 hour stretches at night. So I kind of had to get a schedule going. So that's whenever I looked at Moms on Call and Taking Care of Babies, and then Carry Locker had a bunch of good tips. But yeah, so that's when I started doing it. That answers your question. But I think another thing that has been such a like little tip and trick with scheduling is that it is so nice to have your baby on a routine, because again, then I get to have these moments where I know I'm gonna have time, or like if I want to have a babysitter come over and so I can go get a facial or something, I know whenever I'm gonna need them. So like scheduling is just so important. But something that is also very important, is that you know that a baby's a baby. She's gonna do what she wants, and it's just not a strict schedule. It's just a routine. It's just something you do, something you rely on, because babies are gonna go out of the ordinary. Sometimes she takes a 2-hour nap and I have to go wake her, but sometimes she wakes up from her nap a little bit early. So like, I just have to be flexible with the schedule and like do things that cater to her, because you can't, a baby's not a robot, you know what I mean? As much as I would love to say, why are you crying? I'm never gonna know, you know? I can guess, but stuff like that. So just knowing that you don't need to be on a schedule for the first 2 weeks-ish. And then as soon as you start noticing a little bit of your baby giving you a routine, then I would start a schedule. That's just me personally, because she thrives on it. Like, she literally is sleeping as much as a 6-month-old should be sleeping, which is great. And I fully believe it's because of schedule, but also believe my milk supply, and she's just a great baby. Next question, how is Bro handling being not the only baby anymore? Oh, bro. He is amazing with her. Like, absolutely amazing with her. He does great. We love him with her. I would just say he is a little too obsessed. Like, he will bark at me while I'm breastfeeding because he just wants me to hold him. There are multiple times where he just crawls between my leg and she is literally right here and I'm like, all right. And then whenever I do get moments like this, all he wants to do is cuddle up next to me, which is great. You know, it's great. But yeah, so he's just a little obsessed, but he's so gentle, so sweet. Will lick her little ears sometimes. But I absolutely love them together. It's so cute. So he's doing great. We love him. Bro's the best. What is your favorite moment with Lennon so far? So I would say my favorite moment so far is that she's like just starting to like kind of talk and like say oohs and ahs and laugh and smile. And this, like, I think from like 6 weeks on, that's my favorite, because she has been so like, whoa, like around, like the life around her is like, whoa, like she looks at everything and it's so cool. And then another question was like, what is something we don't know about Lennon? So I'll tell you guys a little something. So she was, when she came out of the womb, she had a squished foot. Literally, it was like one foot was like this, one foot was like this. And we think it was because she was like this in the womb and upside down. And it's actually so funny because we call her Squish now. Like, that's just her nickname. So she came out with a little squishy foot and now it's way better. We had to go to a couple appointments just to make sure it was nothing with her hips, because I guess she was a little squished in there, which is, I'm hoping, you know, it's not a thing for my next pregnancy, but like, because I just want her to be okay, you know? But yeah, so she came out with a little squished foot and we were really concerned about it at first. I was like, I hope to God she's able to walk, like just prayed about it a lot. And they literally were just like, it's a squished foot. That's about it. So thank the good Lord. She also has got a little bit of a head shape going on that we're working on. Tummy time is important, y'all. Do a tummy time. But yeah, so that's something you don't know. She came out with a little squishy foot and now it's all good. It's all better. We just have to do exercises and everything. But hips were great. Everything's healthy. So that's all that matters. Okay, next is a deep dive into her name, Lennon Love. Where did I come up with it? Middle name, everything. So let me just start with her middle name because I feel like that has the best story to it. So her middle name is Love because my middle name's Faith. My sister's middle name is Hope. And so my mom did it off the Bible verse, 1 Corinthians 13:13. And she did it off the Bible verse, Faith, Hope, and Love. And she was gonna name my sister's name is Nicolette. She was gonna name her Nicolette Love, but then she was like, oh, that kind of sounds like a stripper. I thought it sounded pretty. But so she never used Love as a middle name. And again, Faith, Hope, the Bible verse was never completed. And so I always, since I was little, I was like, I'm gonna complete the Bible verse with my first child. So that's why I was like, I hope I have a girl. Got a girl, completed the Bible verse. And I just think it's so special for me and my family because my mom was like, always got that question like, okay, Kennedy, Faith, Addison, Hope, where's Love? Like, you never used Love and you love that Bible verse, whatever. So yeah, I completed the Bible verse and I just think it's so fitting and so perfect for her. And me and Jarrett, like when we thought about that, we were like, this is so special. And I always told him like, I'm gonna name my child, their middle name is gonna be Love. Sorry, this, that. If you follow me on Instagram, you already saw that whole explanation, but I just think it's so special and near and dear to my heart to complete that Bible verse for my family and to always like have that little piece of me, faith, hope, and love. So, yep, Lennon. I have had this name since I was in high school. Actually, over like before that, but it's just funny to me because so me and Jarrett were going back and forth between Lennon and Lennox. So that was the one letter that was different. But I've had both of those names because I'm not even like a big like John Lennon fan, but like in like high school and all that, I was like, Lennon is so cool. Like no one knows this name. Like I love this. Like back then nobody knew it. It was so fun. Like I was like, I'm having this name. I call it, nobody can have it. Me and my friends would always call names back then, which is kind of funny. Like I've never met a Lennon or Lennox in my entire life. So I was like, those two are like, those are my baby names. You know what I mean? Like those are my baby names. They're not changing. It's one letter. I will know like by the time that it comes to the time I'm gonna have kids, which one will be more for me. Lennon and Lennox were my two. Those are this, it's basically the same name, just one letter changed. You know what I mean? So I decided on Lennon ultimately because the X in the name with Stidham, Lennox Stidham, it just didn't flow. And this was like literally whenever I met him freshman year of college, I was like, yeah, nope, it's gonna be Lennon Love. Sorry, it's gonna be Lennon Love. Like, I hope you're okay with that. Like, we're gonna get married and we're gonna have Lennon Love. And he was like, I love that name. And I'm like, yes. So, and then obviously there's a famous singer called Lennon Stella. I didn't even realize that. And I'm like, oh my gosh, like, that's kind of cool. Like, it's getting used. It's well enough to know that it's like a normal name. Like, Lennon is not just John Lennon's last name, you know? So yeah, back in high school, like I would literally just search all day, every day, search baby name, like those little websites that have the baby names, you know what I mean? So I would search those day in and day out and just find ones that I liked, and I loved Lennon and Lennox. Like I just loved those. So obviously I'm never gonna use Lennox, but Lennon, got that from that. And I don't know, if you're like a girl, do you ever just claim the names way before you have a baby? Because like I have other names in my head, like other names that I'm going to use, and I'm like, I am not telling a soul. I'm not telling a soul because I don't want them to be taken, and slash I can always say they're mine. I had them first. Like I knew that. So I don't know, maybe it's a girl thing that you claim your names whenever you're like 10 years old and you can't have babies yet. But that's what me and my friend group did. And I know all their future kids' names, so I'm not going to ever say their babies' names, but we all know each other's future kids, and then whenever you have them, you get to meet them and bring the name to life, which is so cool. All right, y'all, that is basically all the questions. There's obviously a lot more, but I kind of answered them within the answers of the questions that I gave. So I hope this helps you. Whoever is about to give birth, recover from birth, if you're about to want to get pregnant or are pregnant, I hope all of my Q&As from pregnancy have helped. You can always reach out to me via Instagram DM or anything. I'm more than happy to answer any questions you ever have. Roundabout way, gave you all the answers that you needed to any questions you have. Thank you for coming along this journey with us, and it's been crazy, and I cannot believe I have a child now. It's crazy. I cannot believe my dream of having a baby girl and daughter, and she's upstairs. Like, wow, like I cannot believe that. I'm so ready to have another one, but I'm also enjoying time, and I want to have a boy so bad. I'm like, give me that boy. But time and God's plan, because obviously she came unplanned, so we're gonna just enjoy time. But yeah, so this is the end of the 4th trimester. I hope that all these Q&As have given you all the answers that you need to any questions that you've had throughout pregnancy and this so-called 4th trimester. It's just only fitting that I round it out on this. But what's upcoming, I'm definitely going to do a vlog of the nursery since we're moving. I will definitely fill you guys in on all things Texas house, moving to Vegas, life changes, everything in the next vlog. So, mwah. Thanks for watching.